Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video, let's talk about Aventurine and whether he is still worth it for any of you who are planning to pull for him, and do I actually recommend you like go for Eidolons, his signature, and blah blah blah. We'll talk about all of it in this video. Long story short, if we were to like rank every single sustained character, right? Ideally, you want to have kind of two so that you are able to comfortably clear most content in the game. And if we were to honestly rank the best two sustained characters in the game right now, people will argue maybe Lingsha is currently number one. Some people will say Aventurine is number one. The fact is, they are both currently like either tied for top two or like one overtakes the other, depending on who you ask, really. The reason for that, why they are so strong versus other great sustains, for example, like Huo, for example, like Fucc, and for example, like Luota, Gallagher, and stuff like that. Why these two reign supreme currently is not only do they have 5-star stats, and they are also really great for a lot of characters that are currently in the meta. If you think about, for example, Akirion teams, Aventurine plays into that really well. That's also currently one of the metas. If you talk about a follow-up team composition with Robin, Fei Xiao, Dr. Ratio, and blah blah blah, all these kind of characters, Aventurine plays in very well there too. The only team that he doesn't really play too well in is probably Break compared to like Lingsha, but he's still a decent spot over there as well, depending on what you want him to do. Aventurine, the great thing about him is you can also move preservation characters to use this light cone over here, the trend of universal market, to turn them in a DOT kind of support. So you realize that a pure fiction just reset and it requires you to have a bit of DOT characters. This is a great way for you to just like take Aventurine and slap it into a DOT composition. So it's really very nice, very flexible. So you're getting basically the top two sustained characters in the game right now by pulling him. The question is, will he remain top two in the near term future? I think that is the bigger catch and question to ask. 2.7 looks really interesting, so I'll be at least saving some of my resources for that, because nowadays you can get by with like one limited sustain. If you already are sitting on Lingsha, you're already sitting on like Fucc, Ho, and these kind of characters, you probably don't need a second one right now, because a lot of the 4 stars like Gallagher and stuff are really good options as well. And in 3.x, when we go on to the next planet, there are likely going to be more and more varieties of character, the more spanking new characters to choose from, and I think those will be a little bit more interesting as well. But don't get me wrong, he's an excellent unit. He will add value to any account. Just that if you already have a lot of sustains, maybe I'll just chill out a bit. That's my honest opinions, thinking of whether is he worth it right now or not. The upcoming characters in 2.7 and 3.x are going to be meta changing, so I'll be definitely looking out for that as well. For those of you who already have Aventurine and you are thinking of like, should I go deeper? Should I like double down and stuff like that? Long story short, I don't think any of the sustain basically needs their E1 or S1. Whether it's Huo, whether it's Lingsha, whether it's Aventurine, whether it's Luota and stuff, it's not a necessity at all. It's only a luxury. For example, I got Fucc signature even though you do not need it. It's because I just wanted to see 10k HP. But out of all of the sustain, you do not need their signature. You do not need their multiple Eidolons as well. But I know some of you who are really passionate about Aventurine players. What is the optimal stopping point in that case, right? E1 is very interesting because you not only get a lot of crit damage for your targets as well, and we'll talk about E1 or S1 is like more crucial for any of you who just want to go a little bit extra. Crit damage 20%, allies with fortified wager. After using out, you basically like give the entire team the shield back. So it helps increase his skill point efficiency because you have more uptime on his shielding. I do not think this is super critical. It's nice to like implement a bit of utility, but you're spending a limited character when you can pull up a new character, totally new character. It's quite expensive in my opinion, just for just a little bit of utility and 20% crit damage. Unless you are using him everywhere, he's your favorite character. Probably not really huge necessity as well. For 2 here, not super important. I don't think E2 anyone pulls for this at all. It's just a basic tech, which is a very single target nature. Rest threat for 3 turns. Could be nice on like single target, but I think it's a bit of a luxury. And of course, his signature, and I need to go into the data bank here in order to see the signature because I do not have it on my account. And that is inherently unjust destiny. Long story short, this light cone turns him into a bit more of a damage dealer. If you want your Aventurine to do a bit more damage, you feel like he's not hitting enough, you want him to deal a bit more, this is quite good. It gives you a lot of defense to help you hit his at least 4,000 defense threshold to get his buffs. When you provide shield to an ally, you increase by 40%, where the wearer's crit damage increases by 40%. So it's very massive. It turns him more into a damage dealer. Gives him a lot of stats as well because it's a 5-star light cone, right? So this is also really good. Between the two of them, I would say the signature is a little bit more higher priority than the E1. because it turns him to a lot more damage dealers, and the teams that he plays into follow up tend to want to like contribute damage throughout the team. So this like brings another character into the whole damaging roster, which is really great because now your defender also becomes a damage dealer as well. Very fantastic. Is it necessary? I don't think so, but overall my thoughts is S1 is a bit better than E1, but they are roughly around the same, to be honest, because there's a lot of free-to-play good options for Aventurine if you're not planning to build him for a damage dealer. Some options is you can go a bit more DOT for Trend of Universal Market, so you have a lot more flexibility over here if you want to go different ones. Unfortunately, if you do not have Memory of Victory, the S1's value again goes up, but if you have Moment of Victory, you get a lot of the defense stat, the 5-star stats from this free-to-play standard light cone already, so you get tons of good value there. Overall, the next question that we want to have is my honest recommendation and my honest thoughts for players who are in the game, new or old players. If you're a new player, you don't have any sustain at all, I highly recommend you pick him up. He's definitely very worth it. A lot of people can testify to it as well. I think he definitely would survive to some extent in the upcoming meta. I don't think shields will be irrelevant anytime soon, but more importantly is if you already have a lot of characters, you have multiple characters built, and you are thinking, if I skip this character, is it a mistake? Will I make a mistake skipping Aventurine and like not picking him up because this is his first rerun? Who knows when he's coming back? I would say honestly at this point, there is not much of a necessity to have him compared to previously. He's a great sustained character, don't get me wrong. He can do a lot of things, but pretty much, if you have one of these 4 sustained characters, you really can't go wrong at this point of time. They are all decent. They might not be the top tier meta, they might not be the best pick out of all of them, but they weren't far too far from the tree. I personally use Fucc in almost every single content right now. I hardly use Aventurine myself, mainly because of my style of play. I just like Fucc a little bit more. I use Lingsha a lot in my break teams, so my personal preference is going for Lingsha, going for Fucc, and these two are the characters that are my workhorses right now, just because how good Lingsha is in break teams, and she's just so fantastic with either Firefly or Rapper, which are currently like dominant in the meta. So that is my opinions of a person who has most of these characters. Depending on your account, every account is different. Again, if you want specialized, customized account reviews for yourself, head on to r/EODGamer on Reddit. I think more of us will be able to help you out there. Otherwise, join our Discord. We'll be happy to give you more account opinions. And if you're at this point, if you're considering Akirion versus Aventurine, who is more interesting to you, check out the other videos on our channel, which we'll link in the end screen. And thank you guys again so much for watching. Like and comment and subscribe for more such future content. See you next video. At this point, I highly recommend you check out these 2 other videos we have on the channel, which I think you might like. And thank you guys again so much for watching. See you in the next video.